right, let's talk Los Angeles Rams here for a little bit. News broke on Thursday that the Rams made a trade, kind of a minor trade at first, but it looks like to be a really smart move once again by Les Snead and this Rams organization. Let's get into the report and then we'll talk about the details and why this matters for the Rams on the other side. This is courtesy of Sporting News. After reports surfaced earlier on Thursday that the Los Angeles Rams were set to release him, they have traded wide receiver Ben Skowronek to the Houston Texans, according to NFL Network's Tom Pelissero. The Rams had acquired their new version of Skowronek during the NFL draft this year when they selected Texas wide receiver Jordan Whittington in the 7th round. He became expendable, talking about Skowronek, which is why they had planned to release him. Ian Rappaport went on to report that for the trade, the Texans and Rams will swap 6th and 7th rounders in 2026. All right, kind of interesting move here for the Rams. I think it's a smart one. Miles, I know you've got some insights, but first, the Ramley, Los Angeles Rams fans, in the comment section below. Obviously, now that the draft is 100% behind us, you've seen a lot of the undrafted free agents added into the Rams as well. Who was the best addition to the Los Angeles Rams during this draft and undrafted free agent season? Give us that guy in the comment section below. But Miles, give me your thoughts on this trade and what it means for the Los Angeles Rams going forward.
Yeah, Nick, I think this is a great trade. I mean, obviously, let's not overblow it too much. Veronik was just a role player on this team, but he did play a lot of different roles. And I think the fact that, last season was a down year for him. I think 2022 is by far his best season. And you're looking at cutting a guy, getting rid of him, and you're able to get something for him. First of all, again, Rams front office doing some great work there. Just getting anything for a guy like that before you have to release somebody, I think those are always really great moves. You trade them, the team that wants them, they get a win in their book, but you're about to release a guy, so you at least get something, some value out of somebody you're about to get nothing out of. So I love moves like that. But then secondly, having the forethought, having the foresight to be like, all right, this guy is someone we're looking at getting rid of. How can we replace him going forward? And being able to get a guy like Whittington in the draft who seems, and I'll read some of the things from his draft profile, that he seems like he could be the perfect Ben Skowronek replacement. I think this was really just a genius move by the Rams. First of all, Benny Skowronek was a very interesting player. Let's talk about 2022's best season. This is a guy who lined up as a fullback, as a blocker. This is a guy who ran the ball one time. This is a guy who lined up as a tight end 28 times as a blocker. This guy's also a wide receiver. So he was all over the field for them. He wasn't phenomenal, but he was very gadgety. He was a guy that they like to use a lot. And I think it's just a player that you're like, okay, it's going to take a special type of player to replace him. In comes Jordan Whittington. And if you read his draft profile, two things step out to me. One, obviously he's wide receiver, but two, they say runs with quickness. He gets upfield and looks like a running back when he is running. So there's the possible running back attribute there as well. Then get willingness to get after defenders as a blocker. So there's the ability to be a blocker in, if they try to get him fullback role, if they try to get him in the inline tight end role. This is a guy who also, he's not small. He's about 6 foot, 205 pounds. Skowronek on the other hand, 224. I think this guy could easily put it on about 10, 15 pounds of size and be that great blocker as well. So I think Whittington, getting him and just having him on this team, he seems like a guy that could really take over the role that Skowronek had and earn himself some niche playing time with the Rams. So I think overall, really great just planning and execution by the Rams of going into this draft with a plan and being able to get rid of Skowronek for some value.
Yeah, I think there's an important thing about Ben Skowronek. He's a versatile guy. He's got great set of skills in terms of he's 6'3", 225 pounds, can play anywhere. The problem was he wasn't good anywhere. And that's just the reality, right? He wasn't necessarily a bad pick late in the 7th round, of course. You're kind of just taking a flyer on guys. But if you look at him, what he was able to produce on the field, I get it. He could do a lot of fun things, was gadgety. He just wasn't good at anything. His 3 years in the NFL, Los Angeles Rams, here are his 3 grades, his receiving grades, just receiving: 56.9, 56.4, 58.0. 3 years. He's telling you who he is, and that's not a very good receiver. How about run blocking, right? Versatile guy, maybe he's just a great blocker. Run blocking grade, according to PFF, 3 seasons in the NFL: 55.1, 54.6, 57.4. He's just not a good football player, or at least isn't with the Los Angeles Rams. That's just the reality of it, right? You got 3 years out of him, seventh round pick. Could he become something special? Nope. Move on, draft his replacement. And this is one of the things I think it's really smart from the Rams. They do this very well. Lot of other really smart teams, the New England Patriots famously did this during their dynasty run, is they would leave players or move off of players a year or two early, right? Skoranek was a guy that a lot of people thought could have the potential to be a steal, right? Big, strong, played at Notre Dame, versatile, willing to do a lot of different things. They gave him 3 years. He just never was very good. One touchdown in 3 seasons receiving, that doesn't get it done. This is a Sean McVay Rams offense, a lot of reps with Matthew Stafford, a lot of great playmakers around him to give him a lot of favorable matchups, and those are his receiving grades. He's not even that good of a blocker. He's a bad blocker, averages about 55 over the course of his 3 seasons. He's just not a good football player for the Rams. That's just the reality. They gave him 3 years, didn't work out. It's time to move on. Let's draft his replacement. So that's what the Rams did here. They took a chance on Skoranek, seventh round, didn't work out. No problem at all. That's what happens. They then take a late round draft choice on his replacement, and then move off Ben Skoranek and get a little bit in return. This is just smart roster management. This is just smart strategy. Don't hold on to players too long just because you're just hoping it for to eventually work out, right? It's like we hear these stories all the time about people who buy like these stocks and things like that just plummet. The company's doing terrible and it's down 40-50%. And you hear people, it's a story everyone knows, like, gosh, if I can just get back to even, then I'll sell. And then the stock goes down another 10, 20, 30, 40, 50%. You end up losing all your money. We all know people like that. Sticking with Ben Skoranek would have been sticking with the stock that's collapsing, right? You try to bet, it didn't work out, it happens, you move on, right? This is a smart strategy here from the Los Angeles Rams. Kind of an underrated move, but I think an important one that could potentially pay big dividends for them in the future.